Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda, and today's video is just going to be a hair different than it usually is. I'm still going to talk about gardening, but today is the official day of me having had a YouTube channel and Instagram channel for a full year. Today is my 1-year anniversary, and I just kind of wanted to celebrate that with you guys and kind of letting you guys get to know me just a little bit better. I think this is going to be the first official video of me doing any kind of sit-down talk about me, which just feels a little weird, but we're friends, so I figured I'd share a little bit about myself so you guys get to know me and why I got into gardening. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and announce something that I've been working on for the past 6 months. So I'll give a little background. In high school, I took a digital media arts class, and in doing so, I learned how to use Premiere Pro, Adobe, Illustrator, and like a couple other like digital programs. And having that kind of background allowed me to do a project that I have been working so hard for the past 6 months. And today I'm going to show you guys what I've been working on. I finished my logo for this channel not too long ago. My father was kind enough to actually do he has a machine that burns metals, burns wood, like it does a laser cutter. But I gave him my logo and he went ahead and put it on this cup. So I'm super excited to officially have a logo for this channel. It's something that kind of embodies the gardening suburbia. I've got dill, thyme, and rosemary on here, as well as the brick that is my brick surround on this bed down here. But I wanted to create something that kind of just embodied what this channel is. This will probably grow with me, just like my channel, I hope, will grow with me. This is my 3rd official year of gardening in this space. Before I lived in this house, I lived in an apartment in Cincinnati and basically had this huge hankering for gardening. I didn't have the space, and so I grew tiny potted plants, like they were like $1 terracotta plant starts from Target or something, and windowsills. I had, I think, daisies, a little baby rose, and chamomile. And I grew those in the windowsill, and that was what I had. But I knew that I wanted more. I wanted to do more. I didn't necessarily grow up with gardening in my immediate family. My mom and my dad both aren't really into gardening. My mom grew roses. She just kind of grew a basic flower garden with those flowers that you'd find at Home Depot. It was my cousin. His father was a big gardener, and he had this giant row of tomatoes and cucumbers, and I remember radishes. I did not like radishes growing up. This year I have some growing, but that's an experiment. I'm figuring out what I like, and I continue to try new plants. I knew as soon as I saw this house listed, it is a rental, that it was the one. It had a pretty decent sized backyard for a rental area, especially in the Cincinnati area. And I started my first year and these 2 concrete beds on the sides of me. I did Roma tomatoes and Paul Robinsons, I think, were my first tomatoes. And then a few cucumbers, which I did start inside, and they did fairly well. I initially had these beds fenced off with chicken wire to prevent the deer from getting all of the stuff, as well as the squirrels. The squirrels are so bad in my backyard. But the deer live in my backyard. They come up, they take bites out of things all the time. And I put that fenced up. I honestly don't like putting fences around my food. I have a fence currently around my garlic, but it's not my favorite. I feel like it takes away from the beauty of the plants just being plants. But I put that up to make sure that the squirrels wouldn't dig the garlic bulbs up. And honestly, I just haven't gotten around to getting it taken down. My goals for this channel are so much bigger than this backyard, and I really hope to eventually find a different space, whether that is an acre or whatever. I would love to own my own land, and after this past weekend of hearing a lot of different people in the homesteading realm talk, I'm not quite sure what that would mean, whether that is an acre of land or more. Me and my sister always kid around, not really kid, we talk about buying multiple acres that we'll then share, because there are dreams of a flower farm as well as an event venue where people can do weddings and big parties, as well as potential Airbnb spots on the property, and then also having that shared gardening space as well as animals. That's a whole lot of stuff. So the dreams are big. What are the point of dreams if you don't dream big? I think some of my favorite plants so far to grow, mind you, this is only my 3rd year, and I really am starting to experiment this year. I really love growing flowers just because they really do bring a whole bunch of joy. I love seeing all the different varieties, the different colors, textures, but in with that, I also really do enjoy growing potatoes. Potatoes are one of those fun ones where, like, you don't know what you're gonna get until you start digging them out. I'm dying to see how my potato patch is doing, especially since I wasn't able to add too much more mulching on top of it, especially with indeterminate potatoes. The more mulching that you add, the more offshoots of potatoes you'll get as it grows up. Since I wasn't able to do that, we'll see how many we get. It is a lot larger of a patch of potatoes than I did last season. Last season I had 7 or 10 gallon bags, and I probably got about less than 10 pounds of potatoes. Maybe. That's me guessing. They were small potatoes. And this year I planted those Kennebec big baked potatoes. So I'm excited to see what I get. It's probably my favorite. My least favorite, I don't know. I can't think of a least favorite, but maybe I'll come back to that one at the end of the season. Because right now I can't think of anything that it would be my least favorite plant. I've grown a large variety this year, but I don't know that I have a least favorite. I have corals with pumpkins, but that's not because of the pumpkin, it's because of the squirrels. I don't know. I'll get back to you guys on the least favorite of my growing. This year, the plants I'm most excited about are my Sugar Rush peach peppers, which are coming in hot. I've got a good 10-20 peppers on my 3 plants currently. And then I'm also super excited for my dahlias to bloom. I just noticed the first bud on, I think it's my Rockstar dahlia, which is that extra one that I got. So this year, creating content has been really weird. So initially I started off just wanting to do one video here and there with gardening content, and I started off editing on a free app on my iPad, and it got to the point where my iPad wasn't saving, it kept saying that it didn't have enough data. So I was having to delete all of these videos and photos of my garden just to make space to edit and download and then upload onto YouTube. Got to the point where I started editing on my laptop with my dad's camera, and if you guys noticed, all of my first few videos have like this weird blue tinge to them, and it was because there was a setting on my dad's camera, which is a point and shoot camera not meant for videos, because it doesn't autofocus. You set it to focus at a certain depth, and then if you walk out of that depth, like if you went further, the stuff back here would not be in focus, so it'd be blurry and weird. So that made it really difficult to create content where I was moving and getting closer to the camera and further back from the camera, which is why I started editing or taking footage on my phone. So I think it looks pretty good compared to the camera. The camera takes really beautiful photos, but not very good video footage. But had a blue setting on it, and that blue setting made all of the footage weird because it was set to like incandescent lighting, like indoor lighting, and so when I took it outside it made it a weird color. So I lost like all of my videos and photos from like the first year of my garden because of making space for editing. I moved on to my laptop, and then shortly, not too long ago, my laptop completely pooped on me. It's a very old laptop. I got it back in like 2012, 2013. I used it all through college, and it had just lived out its life. I called every place I could to see if they would fix it, and they said it was outside of the warranty. And so I had to buy a new laptop, new to me laptop. It's a refurbished laptop. I highly recommend refurbished just because it's so much cheaper. And so I've been able to edit on that, and decided to switch to my iPhone, which made things a lot easier. But I also encountered another issue. The software on the new computer is more up to date than the software was on my old computer, and I had to go through and like fix settings and whatnot. And what I found was the new Premiere Pro on my new laptop was fancy enough that it would export the video off of Premiere and then also then upload onto YouTube without me having to do any extra steps. Whereas before I would export it while I was sleeping, wake up in the morning, and then import it into YouTube. I did this for like the first 2 or so videos, and then I realized that all of the videos were super blown out. The whites were super white, which made it weird. So I've now realized this, and I can go ahead and I actually have to just export it onto my computer and then just manually upload it onto YouTube. There's some weird settings with Premiere and YouTube. I don't know, weird settings with losing my other laptop because it's completely, I can't access it. I was able to pull off the one and only thing that I was really scared I lost, which was my logo. I had worked on this for hours and hours and hours, tweaking it, taking it from like first draft to second draft to third draft, picking fonts, tweaking the foliage and all of that. Luckily, I was able to pull that off of my laptop before it completely just decided it wasn't going to turn on, which I'm so grateful for, because I don't know what, I probably wouldn't have released a logo anytime soon, nor even on the 1-year anniversary of my YouTube channel. So I'm super excited that I am going to be able to show this to you guys, and kind of give my brand, you know, a little something extra. Sorry, all of the squirrels are like playing in the trees. I have so many trees behind you guys. The squirrels are just jumping tree to tree, and I keep thinking that there's going to be a deer or something in the woods, but it's just squirrels. My first year gardening, I honestly had no idea that there was anything other than a red tomato. I think this has a lot to do with the fact that, I mean, I feel like most spaghetti meals that I had ever had, the tomatoes came from a jar. A store-bought like thing of tomatoes, tomato sauce. My dad always did canned tomatoes, diced canned tomatoes, and they were always red. So learning that there were other colors was crazy to me. It probably is why I'm growing so many different colors of tomatoes this year. There's still a ton of things that I don't know. I mean, you can't really ask about things that you don't know about because you don't know about them yet. And there's a lot of things that I've learned, such as for whatever reason in my brain, I had thought that roses, despite having had grown this like tiny variety of rose at my first apartment, for whatever reason I thought that they only came in like rhizomes or tubers, like roots, like you could only buy them in like bare roots, and that there weren't seeds for roses, but there are. So you learn something new every year. I'm still learning things. I'm excited to harvest garlic for the first time ever this season, here in like the next 2 to 3 weeks. This giant patch of garlic right here in front of me is gonna be ready to harvest, and I'll be curing garlic and then deciding which cloves to keep to then replant next season. And then I still have to plan out what I'm gonna be planting in this bed after this garlic gets harvested. And I need to actually go ahead and do some research and figure out how I need to amend the bed before I even plant. I'm gonna plant corn. I forgot to mention, corn is like one of my favorite vegetables. Growing up, if I could get a corn on the cob, I was sold, and it was my favorite thing ever. So this year I'm gonna grow a ton of corn, which means here soon I need to be pulling out some of these guys to make more room for more veggies. I am still kind of shocked by how many people have subscribed. When I first started the channel, I wasn't even expecting what I got. So I just want to say thank you guys for subscribing and liking and commenting on my videos and engaging with me and my content. It really means a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to learn about what other people are doing, what other people are growing or how they're growing it. I had someone comment about the overwintered pepper and say that their peppers are perennial, which I had no idea that peppers were perennial until this year. And well, last year, the end of last year, when I decided to go ahead and try to overwinter my pepper, which it's kind of sad. It is a little yellow, but it needs some nitrogen, and that's okay. I think it probably would do better if it were in ground, but is starting to put some flowers off, and the new growth looks a little more green. All in all, I just wanted to get on here and say thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey. I'm excited for the year that is to come. We're gonna be harvesting so much food out of my backyard. It's insane. Again, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this, and just kind of interacting with me. It's been really awesome to kind of meet a whole bunch of different people. Just want to say thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this and giving me the chance to meet new people who I otherwise wouldn't have ever met. Growing up, I really didn't have a ton of friends. I wasn't the outgoing type, so it's funny to be here now on YouTube sharing my life with a whole bunch of different strangers who I've never really met in life, but nonetheless we're friends. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I will go ahead and post another video up here for you to enjoy until my next upload. But until then, thank you guys so much for joining me, and thanks for being a part of this thing that I'm doing.